I don't know, it's always getting nervous for the live show.
You do?
Yeah. It's been 3 years, but still like.
You've been doing it for 3 years?
3 years.
Nice.
Once I started, it's okay, but before I started, like, oh.
Shoot. Don't mess up.
はい、玉那覇直江のパイロットになる今週も始まりました。番組 MC の玉那覇です。この番組はパイロットになろうと思っている方々、航空業界へ就職したいと思っている方々、そして航空業界に興味がある方々へ向けて有益な情報を配信する番組です。この番組はザ・玉道場、ザ・ランゲージカンパニー、株式会社 ITEP ジャパン、エアスマート、マスターイン、エアスマートアビエーションアカデミー、スカイサンタ、ビズリゾートクラブ、FSO パイロット留学アカデミー、以上8社の提供で、コミュニティラジオ FM ギノワンからお届けいたします。放送は FM ギノワンのホームページからもご覧いただけます。ホームページにリンクされている YouTube とツイキャスでは動画配信を、リスンラジオでは音声配信を行っております。そして私、玉那覇の Facebook ライブと YouTube ライブでも同時配信中です。さて、私、玉那覇のアメリカ報告ボリューム13となりました。エアスマート社の女性パイロット特集の最終回となりました。今週はアバロン副操縦士にお越しいただきました。フライトインストラクターご出身というところでは、これまでの5名と同じです。実は整備士の勉強から始まった航空の世界。エアパフォーマーのプロでもある彼女は、実はインスタのフォロワー数11万5,000人を超えるマルチな才能の持ち主です。それではいろいろなお話を聞いていきたいと思います。それではお昼までの1時間ほどお付き合いください。All right. Now I can get really relaxed.
Hard part done.
Okay. All right. Nice commercial break. So the FM radio, some, commercial in the sound, but tweetcasting.
But that's still it. Okay, so
YouTube.
just sound shuts off.
Well, we talk, and we can talk about it. So yeah. Start off your self-introduction, and then basically how you get started.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know you have lots of hobbies, so we can talk about that. Hopefully, we can get
I thought
through.
I was just talking about aviation, but I'm fine with talking about anything.
Yeah, I know. When I post the Facebook announcement this afternoon here, they're like, "Oh, wow, I know her.
Yeah?
She got like over so many followers."
Like the
Japanese.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yes.
Oh.
Actually, he's living in Seattle, in Japanese
I want
American.
to go to Seattle.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you have so many variety. Going to have a Japanese audience too.
Yay.
So after this radio, it's going to be archived through the YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put your Instagram link on it.
Okay. I mean, the crochet one's personal. So
Okay.
You could just put the aviation.
Just aviation?
One. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is... Oh, by the way, the title for this program is Let's Be a Pilot. Yes.
Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it. Yeah, that's all this program for. So,
Awesome.
okay, 30 seconds to go. There you go. All right. 20 seconds to go. Okay, let's get started. OK。はい、皆さん大変お待たせ。今 今日は口が回るな。お待たせいたしました。早速ご紹介させていただきたいと思います。エアスマートの副操縦士のアバロンさんでございます。今日よろしくお願いいたします。Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Thanks for coming to my radio show.
Of course. Glad to be here.
All right. So first, I'd like you to brief yourself to the audience, please.
Okay. Hello, I am Avalon, and I'm 28 years old. I was born and raised in Las Vegas, and I am a first officer for AirSmart, and also a AMP mechanic on the side. And yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got to translate into Japanese too.
That's keeping it short.
Sure, I appreciate that. アバロンさん、今ご紹介あったように、28歳、今こちらのエアスマートの会社で副操縦士をしていますと。今、ちらっとおっしゃってましたけど、実は整備士の資格をお持ちなんですね。そのあたりも今日お聞きしていきたいと思ってます。Okay, now you just mentioned you're AirSmart first officer and AMP mechanic.
Yes, correct.
Wow, that's surprising.
Yeah.
Not many
I don't
people
look
have.
it.
皆さんもすごく不思議、ね、確かにこのラジオでも何回か、そういう方出ていただいたこともあったんですけども、今日はこちらにですね、今までの副操縦士とは一味違うというか、航空機整備士の資格をお持ちというと、そのあたりも聞いてみたいと思います。So, did you start working on or studying for the aviation mechanic or pilots? どっちから先にやったんでしょうかね。
So mechanics was never on the table to start with
at
all. I didn't know it existed.
アボロンは今確認したんですよ。どっちから先なのってもうそもそも整備士なんて頭になかったし、整備士と職業あることもさえ知らなかったって言ってですね。You never know.
I didn't know.
No,
So
okay.
I wanted to be a pilot since I was 4 years old because my family traveled a lot. My dad is a magician and he traveled the world doing shows. And so we were constantly on airplanes going to new places and stuff. And so it was one of the first airline flights that I took that I realized I love turbulence.
今日なんかいっぱい意外な話が出てきますよ。Okay, let me translate into it. 小さい時にお父様が、マジシャン、手品師ですね、やってたので、世界中を、飛行機に乗って飛んでたというところがまず今びっくりなんですけど、その時に飛行機に乗ってて、タービュランス、乱気流ありますよね。あれがすごく好きだったと。普通ないですよね。It's very weird to hear that. You like that turbulence?
I love it.
No, people normally you're like
Yes,
screaming,
I thought it was fun. I loved roller coasters and I liked that belly feeling and it was great. And then a few other times that I took a trip, there's one time that the pilots were able to bring me up front pre 9/11. I got to sit in the pilot's seat and wear the little hat. And I was like, I want to be like you guys. And
Then you were age of 4.
I want to say it was like 10 around there. So like at 4, like I liked aviation. At 10, I was like,
In the cockpit.
I want to be like you guys. Yeah. And then at 16, my dad took me for a discovery flight. He paid for a discovery flight. And he was sitting in the back. And when we were going, he was freaking out because he's like, I didn't know they were going to let you control the plane. And I was like, I didn't know either, but it's so cool. But then that's when I dropped all other plan Bs. That was it. I just wanted to fly.
なるほど、なるほど。ですね、4歳の時にやっぱり飛行機、お父さんのこの仕事の都合であちこち世界中旅行することがあって、それから飛行機好きになったんだけども、そのタービュランスが好きってことでね。で、10歳の時に、9/11の前の話なんですけども、パイロットがコックピットに案内してくれて、はい。パイロットがコックピットに案内してくれて、You wanna join?
More pilots.
More pilots, yes. コックピットの案内してくれて、で、実際に帽子もかぶらしてくれて、そしてコックピットに座った時に、もうここでハマったと。この仕事にする。この仕事になりたいって言って。で、That's okay, that's okay. ここで何が起こってるか、ペットが、パイロットのペットがいたんですよね、隠して。
We can interview the dogs.
いや、何かというと、コックピットに入って、それが10歳の時、それでこれやりたいっていうことで、16歳の、時にお父さんがディスカバーフライト、もうこれ何回も過去のね、放送回で出てますけども、体験飛行ですよ。実際に操縦をするというのを経験したのが16歳。 で、その時にお父さんは後ろに乗ってて、めちゃめちゃびっくりしてたと。なぜかというと、まさか自分の娘が操縦桿を握って操縦すると思わなかった。で、彼女自身も自分も思わなかったっていうとこまで今話したんですけど、So you took the flight control?
Yep.
Unexpected.
Unexpected. It was so fast because like when you do a discovery flight, it's only like 30 minutes to shove everything in there. And so I sit down, the guy's like, okay, this is that, that's this is that, that's that. And I'm like, I don't know what you just said, but okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He dressed up. Oh my God. That's so cute.
Okay.
Where was I? Yeah, so
Yeah.
I didn't really know I was gonna actually take controls, neither did my dad. And he's like, if I knew this, I wouldn't have gone with you. I'm like, well, thanks, Dad. Yeah, but after that I was hooked. Like from then on, I ended up wanting to do be a fighter pilot. I wanted to be a Thunderbird, and like every pilot, you know, you want to go to the top. And so I got into ROTC when I was in high school, and I was hoping that within ROTC I could eventually do that in college, and commission and have the military pay for my flight training, which ended up not working out. Didn't do that, but yeah.
That's how you started.
Yeah.
Okay. その16歳の時にお父さんがもしこんなして自分の娘が操縦するんだったら、もう自分は乗らなかったよみたいなことの話をしてたんだけど、で、そうやって飛行機にもうハマってしまって、そこから、飛行機の道を始めようと思ったと。もうその時にはもう飛行機以外のいわゆるプラン B ってことも考えず、飛行機一本でやっていこう。そこが一つのきっかけだったらしいんですよね。そして、ゆくゆくは、ROTC って言って、エアフォースのそういったトレーニングがあるんですが、そこに行って、で、最終的には、エアフォースのサンダーバードっていうパイロットになりたい、ファイターパイロットになりたいっていう夢はあったんだけど、今そこは、願い叶わなかったんだけども、そうやって、飛行機の、パイロットとしての生活というか、訓練が始まったということでした。So that was when you were 16, you decided to go pilot training.
Yep, that's when I decided I wanted to do that and was trying to find out which way to do it. And then when it came around to which college am I going to go to when I graduate, everyone kept on telling me I needed to go to the #1 aeronautical school in America, which was Embry-Riddle. And I was like, yeah, for sure, because I'm naive and I didn't do my research. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that one. That sounds great. And so I called them up and they're like, oh yeah, it'll be like $7,000 for your private pilot. I'm like, that sounds like a great deal. So I go there and I sit down with my instructor for the first time. And he's like, how much do you got? I'm like, I got a loan for $9,000. And he's like, oh, well, average is like $25,000 for your private pilot. And I'm like, oh, what?
When you started? After
I started. I'm like, okay, cool. So I made a mistake. And then I started doing all the calculations. I'm like, okay, if I end up doing all of the 4 years of college and flight training all at Embry-Riddle, I'm going to be like $400,000 in debt. And it didn't sound that great. And then at the same time, I was also in ROTC trying to maybe eventually get to that aviation slot for the military, which in the end, the military chooses for you. You get to pick in like, okay, I want this, this, and this, but they're going to tell you what you do. And I had a friend who was 5'2", so 2 inches taller than me. All she wanted to do was fly. And they're like, nope, you're going to go into submarines. And I was like, oh, shoot, that can happen. So I left. Because what if I got to that point where they're like, okay, you're going to be put in a submarine for 4 years.
Submarine?
A submarine.
Submarine.
Under the ocean submarine.
Oh, okay. Before I forget, I gotta translate you into that. 今たくさん話してましたね。覚えてるかな。実際高校卒業して、じゃあ大学、キャリアとして探すときに、いろいろ調べようと思ったら、周りの方から、もう航空といえば、もうやるんだったらトップに行きなさいっていうところで、今アメリカで有名なのは、エンブリリドル航空大学というところなので、そこに決めたと。で、そこに行って、パイロットになるって決めて、値段も調べたら、当時の価格で言うと$7,000で免許が取れると思って調べていったら、実際向こうのインストラクターに聞くと、いやいや、そんだけで終わらないよという、ものすごい高い金額を出されて、で、計算をすると、結局学費って結構な金になって、いや、それはちょっと無理だなっていうことで、そこから進路を変更して、エアフォースの ROTC に行って、やったんだけども、さっきサブマリンということで、潜水艦のオファーが出たのでっていうところで今ちょっと話して思ったんですけど、So you were offered from them like, are you going to submarine? And
Well, that happened to my friend who was graduating, and I still had a few years to graduate. But I saw that happen, and I didn't want that to happen to me.
Okay.
So I was like, well, I'm going to go home.
Okay.
I just left. I dropped out. I was like, okay, I only got 1 year of... In 1 year of flight school, I got 15 flight hours.
Okay.
That's not a lot. At all.
Right.
And I got heavily into debt just from that 1 year. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to go home and figure a different way out because I can't do this. So when I came home back to Vegas, I was driving back to home with my dad, and we passed North Las Vegas airport, this airport. And I looked, and all of a sudden it said, like, learn to fly here, like flight lessons starting at $49 or something like that. And I'm like, wait, you can learn to fly here? Like, it didn't even cross my mind that there's a flight school in my home.
Okay.
And where I lived. I didn't do my research.
Okay.
I was just told, go to this school. Okay, I'm going to that school. I could have started here, you know? And so all of a sudden my brain exploded. I'm like, well, Dad, I'm going to start flight school here now. So I went over to a neighboring flight school. I did a few lessons here and there. I soloed, and then I ran out of money.
Okay.
Okay.
今回はちょっと波乱万丈がありそうですね。大学に行ったんだけども、予定外の出費になるっていうことで、結局1年で辞めた。で、1年間で15時間のフライト時間しかなくて、もう結局もう一回、ラスベガスに戻ってきたと。で、戻ってきたら自分、彼女はラスベガスの出身なんですけども、この空港、ノースラスベガスの空港を通ると、あっちこっちに看板があって、フライトを教えます。ランとフライみたいなのがあって、何地元の学校で、地元の飛行場でレッスンが受けられるのかっていうのをその時知ったと。全然リサーチをしていなかったので、実はここにそういうスクールがあっちこっちあるっていうのを知って、でそこから訓練を始めて、実際訓練を始めてそれにも出たら、で気がついたらまたお金がなくなっちゃったというところの話です。You ran out of money after you
ran out of money.
Got your private? Or?
Yeah, I soloed. And it was just difficult because in my head, I'm like, I don't want to keep borrowing money from my parents because I didn't have a good paying job. I had a lot of random jobs. And then all of a sudden my dad was like, my dad being a magician, he created a show on a cruise ship. And it was around that time that after I soloed, he was like, hey, this one girl in the show, she can't make it. Do you want to live on a cruise ship for about a year and be in the show and get paid? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that.
You took it?
I took it. So I lived on a cruise ship for a while, and I was in a magic show, and that's how I made some more money. And that was honestly one of the most fun. I mean, being a pilot's a fun job, but that was a fun job.
またまた意外な展開が、そうやってお金をもう使い果たしてしまって、で、亡くなったので、お父さんがマジシャンってさっきおっしゃってましたけど、そのお父さんの方から、せっかくだったらもう船に乗って仕事をしないかってところで、実際に船に乗って仕事をした。もう今めちゃめちゃ楽しかったという話をしてます。What exactly do
What did I do?
Yeah, musician.
I was a magic stage tech and an understudy for the actresses. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Hello.
Come on. 今日は最後の回ということで。Yeah, special guest, Tommy. 今日はいろんな方が、もうちょうどね、フライトが今終わってきたので、その方々今続々このターミナルに来てるんですよ。タミー社長の方が、CEO の方がわざわざ来てくれたんですけども。なので、船に乗ってお仕事をしてたと。About a year?
Yeah, I think it was like 10 months, maybe with some training on top of that. So yeah, I just rounded up to a year.
10ヶ月、1年ぐらいは船の上でのお仕事をしていたと。その前ちょっと話してましたけど、お金がなくなったので、いろんな仕事をしながらお金を貯めて、でもそれでもやっぱりお金が足りないので、お父さんの方からオファーがあって、もう船に乗って仕事をしたらどうかっていうところで、船乗りじゃないけども、船に乗ってたと。Wow, that's interesting. So after you get your 10, yeah, totally different.
It's different. Yeah, I mean, we were based out of Miami, and we went to St. Thomas, St. Martin in the Bahamas every single week. Just it's basically work 4 hours a day for 5 days a week, and then the rest was just be on vacation.
On the ship?
On the ship, yeah.
4 hours a day.
About 4 hours a day.
And then 5 days a week.
Yep.
船乗りのお仕事の話もちょっとまさか今日パイロットの話聞けると思わなかったんですけど、1日4時間の仕事で週5日。で、それ以外は船の中でお休みという生活を、10ヶ月から1年ぐらい続けると。That's interesting. I didn't expect that hearing about the story on the boat and being a pilot program.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in my mind, I'm like, I love this stuff. I like being on a boat. Like, this is so cool.
Okay.
But the other half of me is like, I need to get back home so I can start flying again.
Right.
So, I mean, eventually it came the time where my contract was up and I had the chance to do another few months on the ship. But I was like, I need to start flying again. So I came back home and this is where the mechanic starts tying into it.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I came back home, I had a doctor's appointment or something, and I was sitting in the lobby and I was watching the TV, and then a commercial for AIM, Aviation Institute of Maintenance, came up, and my mind exploded. And I was like, wait, you can work on airplanes? Like, you can fix airplanes? And I saw a girl doing that. I'm like, wait, I can fix airplanes? And I like I said, I didn't know it existed. I did not know that job existed. So I was like, okay, well, I called them up. I was like, can I come see the school? And they're like, yeah, come tomorrow. So the next day I go, and I loved it. And the following day I brought my dad, and I was like, I really want to go to the school. And he looks around. He's like, Avalon, I don't see any other girls here.
Oh.
I was like, yeah, and I still want to go to school here. And he's like, okay, cool, fine. And we sign the loans and I start school. So that's how I do it.
またまたちょっと転機が来ましたよ、皆さん。これ、今回、マナミン、番組時間足りなくなるよ。はい、船から戻ってきました。で、船から戻るのも、やっぱり飛行機が頭にあったんで、船乗りも楽しかったんだけど、やっぱり飛行機乗りたいということで、契約期間切れて、陸に戻ってきました。じゃあ飛行機をやろうかなと思ったら、たまたま予約をしていた、病院の予約を取って、テレビを見ていると、その整備士のコマーシャルというか、テレビがあったわけですよ。それを見た瞬間に、ちょっと待てよ。飛行機を直せるっていう人がいるんだ。しかもそれは女性がやってると見てる。ちょっと待って。女性が飛行機を直せる？彼女言ってましたけど、そもそも飛行機を直す、整備をするという職業があることすら知らなかった女の子が、それを見て、飛行機を直せる仕事があるのか。って言って電話をすると、明日おいでって言われたので、お父さんに相談をすると、ちょっと待ってよ、アバロンと。よく考えるよ。女の子誰もいないぞって。彼女よく、だから何っていうところで、その続きの話を聞きたいと思う。So, your dad said, no, girl, you said, okay, so what? What did you do?
What's your problem? I don't have one.
So you started aviation.
Yeah, I started that way without knowing anything about mechanics. Like, I didn't know what a piston was. I barely knew what a screwdriver was. I knew nothing. I had to start from ground zero, which these schools prepare you for that. Like, your first few classes are, here's a hammer, here's a screwdriver, here's the basic materials. So it does prep you very, very well. And I ended up loving it. Like, one of the key factors as to why I was like, yes, this is what I want to do, was when I was on the tour, I went into the building and it smelled like Home Depot. And I was like, this smells amazing.
You love that smell.
I love that smell. I'm like, I could be around this all day.
ああ、なるほど、なるほど。そうやって学校が始まりましたと。で、本人曰く、その時本当に知ってるのがせいぜい、ドライバーとか、そのぐらいしか知らなかった。パーツも全然知らなかったレベルの女の子だったということですね。で、実際に学校が始まると、そういう人たちのために、もう本当にこれがハンマーで、これがドライバーで、というような基本的な工具の話からっていうところから始めてくれたのがその学校。で、そこの中で、ツアーがあって、整備場というのかな、そういうところに行くと、匂いがあるわけですよ。ここでホームディポーっていうのは、沖縄で言うとメイクマン。沖縄県外で言うと何なんだろう。DIY のお店ね。そういうところに行った時に、匂いをした時に、この匂い最高。私はもうここでずっといていいわって思うぐらいにすごく、ハマってしまったと。匂いに。So you love that smell of Home Depot, and you're like, okay, this is exactly what I want to do.
I love the smell of grease and dirt and wood.
油とか木材の匂いがもう大好きで、もうハマってしまったと。で、そこで、you started from zero, nothing. And
Nothing.
then how long did it take for you to
It's a
complete?
19-month program.
19 months.
Yes, and every single month it's a different class. So you do everything from like welding to riveting to electricity, all that stuff, electric stuff, and yeah, just 19 classes. And then at the very end you have 3 written exams. So for pilots you just have 1 per certificate.
Right.
This one's 3. So this one's your airframe, your power plant, and a general. And then after that, then you still have an oral, and then you have a practical test,
Like a check ride.
which is your check ride, which is where you do hands-on stuff. So then after that, I think it was 1 or 2 months after the 19 months that I passed the check ride. So total of 21 months, I got my certificate. So.
アメリカのその整備士になるための方法っていうのを聞いたので、このラジオのお聞きの中の方にはそういう整備士になりたいという方もいらっしゃると思うんですよ。参考までにね、今の情報をお伝えすると、19ヶ月のプログラムらしいんですよ。毎月必ず何かのそのコースがあって、単元レッスンがあって、全部で19ヶ月。で、それを終わると、学科試験3つ、General Airframe Power Plant っていう学科試験があって、あとは試験官とオーラルで実際に作業するという、試験があって、最終的に彼女は21ヶ月後、最初にスタートしてから21ヶ月後には、FA の、航空機整備士の資格、ここで言うと A&B って言うんですけど、その資格を取得したと。How old was it when you got to
That was 2017. How was that? 5 years ago? Yeah, so
23?
like 23-ish. Oh yeah, no, I remember because when I started the first like month or 2, I took some time off to celebrate my 21st birthday. So yeah, so 23 I got my A&P.
21歳にスタートして、23歳の時にはこの A&P という資格を取得したと。早いですね。で、皆さん、ここから疑問じゃないですか。じゃあ23歳で免許を取って、整備士の資格を取って、あと、なぜここにいるのかって俺気になる。So I think their audience like, okay, you got your A&P on the age of 23. Now you're wearing the pilot uniform. What's the story after the A&P? And
It's mixed.
It's mixed. Okay.
It's mixed. So what happened was I started that school, and on Facebook, I posted that I got into a new school. I was going to AIM, Aviation and Student Maintenance. And I ended up meeting with someone who was doing flight school. And he's like, oh, I go to this school called Flyrate. And I'm like, oh, interesting. So I just went onto the page. I liked that page. The owner of that company contacted me and was like, hey, do you want a job? And I was like, yes, as a light maintenance job. So just doing some hands-on things here and there. And I was like, yes, of course I do. I was working at Starbucks at the time. Hated the job. It's not for everyone. I'm glad I learned how to make coffee properly, but other than that, I did not like customer service.
今日の話なんかいっぱい面白いのが出てくるな。免許を取った後、フライトスクールからオファーがあって、整備の仕事をいただいた。実はその前にスターバックスで働いてたらしいんですけども、スターバックスは大嫌いだったって言ってますけど、カスタマーサービスが嫌いだったって今、はっきり言ってましたよ。でもコーヒー作るようになったのは、良かったって言ってますけど、So, I saw that you got a Starbucks experiences and then you got a job at the flight school as a mechanic?
So it started out as a mechanic.
Okay.
But I showed up and then he's like, here's your desk. And I'm like, my desk. He's like, yeah, you could be the manager, you could run it, and you could also do mechanic work on the side. I'm like, okay, that's a lot more than I was expecting, but for sure. And of course he's like, we can work out a deal and you can do flight training with us because I know you want to become a pilot. I'm like, yeah, no, I'll work for you. I'll do light maintenance, I'll run the school, and I'll train on the side, and I'll finish my A&P. I was doing all of it at the same time. So basically, I got my private pilot while I was in mechanic school. And once I finished with that, I was like, I'm not doing that again until I graduate A&P school. Because that was too much going to school for A&P, trying to pass all the tests, also running a flight school and trying to finish your private pilot. It was too much.
So at the same time.
Yeah, at the same time. So I finished my private pilot, and then I graduated mechanic school, and then I did all the other training after mechanic school.
もういろんな仕事をしてますね。最初にオファーがあったところで、仕事もするんだけども、実際オフィスのデスクも与えられて、ここで仕事をしなさいっていうのと、もちろんオーナーとかボスかなは、アバロンがその飛行機の免許を取りたいということを知っていたので、じゃあうちで免許を取ったらいいよということで、彼女自身はプライベートのパイロット、前にね、スタートしたんだけども、そこを終わらせながら、で、学校も行きながら、で、メンテナンスの仕事もしながらということで、もう大変な時期があったと。How long you've been working for private and working as a mechanic and
There's a lot of years to fill in there. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay.
So I was working as a manager for that flight school and as a mechanic and running that school for 7 years.
7 years?
7 years. Yeah.
7年ですよ、皆さん7年。7年間その学校の、マネージャー的なことを任され、メカニックもやり、で飛行機の免許どこまで取ったのかな。So that 7 years you run the flight school business and the mechanic, and then what about the pilot training? You got your private pilot?
Yes, I got my private pilot in 2015. And then after that, I graduated mechanic school in 2017. And then after that, I kind of got lazy.
Okay.
I got comfortable. I was good at running the flight school. I did a lot, and I just got comfortable there. So flight training wasn't like my priority as it should have been, but at the same time, I don't regret it because, being 28 and having my first pilot job, I feel more mature, as if I were to speed through everything and get it done earlier. And then COVID eventually hit, and that slowed things down, and I stopped training because I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe airplanes might not exist in a few years. Apocalypse is coming. Just stop training. But I did. When did I do that? 2019. I finished my instrument, and then I did commercial and multi-engine, all after COVID. Yeah, after COVID, and then I was working on my writtens for CFI. Even though I didn't really want to be a CFI, I was working on my writtens, but then a friend came and he's like, hey, you should apply for AirSmart. And I'm like, I don't have enough hours. He's like, you should apply anyway. And turns out I did have enough hours, so I didn't have to get my CFI.
Okay. Well, let me translate into it. 7年間働いてる時っていうのはプライベートの免許も取って、本当に仕事としてはそのスクールをマネージする、スクールのマネージャーとして仕事をしてたらしいんですね。で、そこからコロナの後、You said COVID, before COVID or after COVID? I forget your private.
Before COVID, private, before COVID, instrument, and everything else after.
コロナの前にプライベートとインストゥルメントっていうのを取って、もうだから相当時間をかけて取ったんですよね。そしてコロナになってから、その次に、その次の免許です。いろんな事業とかもあるし、そういうのを資格を取得したと。結構、免許を取る時間的には、仕事をしながら、免許を取ったという、これ私の感想ですけど、ここの一般的な地元の人たちがやるパターンです。I think, the local residents that taking the private license for instrument takes some time while working. I got an impression from the local people.
Yes.
Instead of going to flight school and in 1 year college or something.
Yeah, running a flight school for 7 years and actually being the one that talks to the prospective student first and watches them throughout their training, I've seen every variation of how you get your license. I've seen all of those where they're like, oh, well, I just got this huge ass loan. I'm not doing anything else. I'm going to do everything in 1 year. Do it in 1 year. There's other people who have like a family and kids and a full-time job, and they're just like here, and then they get their private after 5 years. There's no one right way to do it, and a lot of people are stressed out about getting it done as fast as possible. Don't stress over it. Like if I have any advice to give to anybody about flight training, don't worry about how long it's going to take. Just enjoy the process.
Well, that's the key word. That's very, very key. 今、アバロンは学校のそのマネージャーというか、その学校をオペレーションしてている経験からたくさんの人たちを見てきたと。本当に一方では、お金をもうローンしてきたので、もうこれを使ってもう一気に終わりしたいという方もいます。でもそれはそれでもちろん構わないけども、一方で仕事をしながら、家庭を持ちながら、育児をしながら、少しずつ免許を取っていく人もいる。人それぞれやり方は全部違う。それで全然ありだと。で、中にはその自分のペースで進めていこうと思うときに思うようにいかなくて、ストレスを抱えてしまう人も実は多く見受けたと。 そういうストレスをかかりの訓練はしないで、とにかく楽しんでねってすごく今いい言葉言ってました。訓練は楽しんでやってくださいと。I really appreciate that you said that you should enjoy the training.
Someone told that to me in the process of me like going crazy about this is taking forever. Just enjoy the process. I'm like, oh yeah, because eventually it's going to be gone. Like you're never going to have another solo flight for your first solo flight again. You're never going to like pass your private pilot. Well, hopefully again. You only do these things once. So don't be so concerned about getting done so fast that everything's a blur. Enjoy the process. So that really helped me out.
That's right. That's right. 免許取る過程っていうのは、その最初のファーストソロ、初めて一人で出る飛行っていうのもそう一生に1回しかないわけですよ。で、その次の過程っていうのがプライベートパイロットの実地試験。これも大体一発で大体終わるんですけど、そういうのも1回しかないし、そういうそれぞれのステップっていうのは必ず来て、必ず過去のものになっていく。なので、そういうものにストレスを感じるんじゃなくて、やっぱりフライトをするってことに、楽しみに持ってほしいっていうことを話してましたね。And it's been only 30 minutes. I have to take a commercial break.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. じゃあ皆さん、30分過ぎたので、1回コマーシャルのブレイクに入ってから、じゃあマナミンの、CM の後のなんだったマナミンの質問コーナーいきますね。では CM です。Wow, that's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Where's Darian?
Who?
Yeah, Darian just came over. That's his dog, right?
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, puppy.
So 8 years as a school manager. That's why you got a lot of school thing. When I came over here, I think you were the one to taking care of the school thing. You remember?
Yes. Yeah.
So thanks to you, it helped a lot. So
yeah. I tried as much as I could, but the thing is with the school that I was at, it was like a mom and pop shop. It was me and the owner. So I had a lot of pull on how we did things. Here, there's a lot of different third parties involved where it's like, oh, we should do this. Oh, well, we need permission from here. And I'm like, it's hard to get it going fast. I wish I would have been able to do things faster. But I mean, you're here now and you're getting stuff done.
That's right. Wow, I'm here. 来た。ほら、ここにはゲストには犬も来ますよ。下に見えるかな。
はい。So cute.
まだ CM な今、マナミ大丈夫？あと何秒？
はい。
OK.
The sound is ridiculous.
今ラジオ放送中だよ。ここにワンちゃんが乱入してきました。うちのパイロットのペットがですね、乱入してきましたので、あと20秒。はい、わかりました。多分ワンちゃんこっちにずっといますよ。
No, don't need your friend. So cute.
まだかな ?10 秒が長いの。OK ね。はい。はい、それでは皆様お待たせいたしました。マナミンの質問コーナーです。
今日は仮装ハロウィンウィークなので仮装をしてるんですけど、
すいません、
ちょっと難しい。
普通の格好できました。
すごい今日は面白かったですね、話前半。すごかったんですけど、じゃあいいですか、質問。
はい、
聞きたいことたくさんあったんですけど、その中でも一回船乗り終えて整備士になったじゃないですか。でこの整備の仕事をしたいってなるときに、同じ航空系だったらキャビンアテンダントとか目指さなかったのかなっていうちょっと。
なるほど。
っていう質問です。
Okay, yeah, she was listening while we talk in the past 30 minutes, and then she was surprised at what she did through all the different kinds of stuff, of course. But after get out the boat, and then you start working for a mechanic. She's wondering, aviation mechanics is one of the, the business for the aviation world industry. there's another aviation industry worker, like flight attendant and all that stuff. She asking you if you ever thought about becoming a flight attendant instead of pilot or other job.
The only time that I thought of becoming a flight attendant was figuring out how to afford flight training. I was thinking about becoming a flight attendant just to gain money to become a pilot.
Oh.
It was never a end goal. Like I said, I hated working at Starbucks. I mean, I don't want to be.
今日のアパロンもうぶっちゃけの話してるよね。
すごいですね。
今分かった。
わかります。はい。
今の質問したら、フライトアテンダントになるっていうのも考えた時あったけど、それはエンドゴールじゃなくて、あくまでもお金を稼ぐために、パイロットになるためのお金を稼ぐための一つの手段であったら、そこもあるんだけど、さっき私言ったようにさ、スターバックスで働いてる時の人にコーヒーをサーブするのって本当は嫌なのよみたいな。
カスタマーサービスが無理。
今日ぶっちゃけバランスです。
だからメカニックの方に。
That's why you choose mechanic.
Oh. Yeah, I like. It sounds weird. I like getting dirty. Like, I mean, wearing this, I'm like, I feel special, but at the same time, like, I want to be able to be all dirty and not really care about my appearance and everything. Whereas flight attendants, you constantly got to doll yourself up and everything. But I mean, I
面
guess
白い
depends
ね
where you。go.
こんな綺麗な顔してさ、綺麗にするのあんまり好きじゃないのって、どっかとどっちかというと
そうなの
油にまみれて、そういうところにほこりまみれののが好きなのって。
I was actually, in the past year, there's been 4 people where, especially on overnights where I'm walking into a hotel room or a diner or something, I'm in uniform, 4 people have asked if I'm a flight attendant. And I'm like, and I'm trying not to snap at them. Like, no, there's wings here. You see.
地元でもやっぱり今の話を聞くと、地元で、この格好で、ホテルにいると客室乗務員間違えられることがあるらしい。ウィングス、いや私は胸にこれパイロットのウィングがあるでしょっていうことで、そういう話をしてましたね。
There's still a huge stereotype of, oh, you're a female in aviation? Well, you're a flight attendant.
ここアメリカでもやっぱりそういうなんていうんだろうな、一般的な考え方というか、女性だったらフライトアテンダントだよねみたいなものはアメリカでもまだあるらしいですね。
なるほど。
It's not huge percentage yet. Like I think I talked to Lauren about it. I think 4 or 5%.
For female pilots, as of right now, it's 8% total.
Oh.
About 4% if you're talking like commercial pilots.
Okay.
Yeah. So it tapers off as you go. And then also mechanics, it's 2% female mechanics.
今面白い数字が出ましたよ。女性のパイロットってのは実際 8% いるらしいんですよ。でもプロのパイロットっていうことになると 4%、5%。そして今度は整備士になると 2% しかないらしいです。もう、まなみ今日の話面白いんじゃない？はい。ありがとうございました。じゃあ、あとはスタジオでお聞きくださいませ。はい。Okay, thank you very much. Wow, that's interesting. She was like, wow.
Yeah. She should become a pilot or mechanic. We need more of us.
That's right. So, we talk about you got your CFI, and then you've been here for years, and then you find the Air Smart.
Yes, a friend of mine had worked at Air Smart prior, and he's like, "You have been here at this job for too long, and you should get going in your career. So apply for Air Smart." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, fine."
So by that time, you have the hours as a flight instructor.
Not a flight instructor, but I had the hours. I had the minimum hours to be here as a first officer.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was like as I was about to take my third CFI written, and then the chief pilot here called me up, and he's like, "Let's interview you," and they offered me the job, and that was that. So.
このエアスマートに来た理由ってちょっと後半話したいんですけども、もうここに働いて飛行時間ある程度溜まって、で知り合いの人がここに働いてたので、その時にタミーが You gone? Say hi to the audience.
He says bye.
All right, he says bye. All right, bye. 先ほどタミーがちらっと出てましたけど、もう帰るからね、じゃあバイバイって言ってましたけど、彼女がここに、同じ空港なんでね、その情報は聞いてたと。で、彼女の友達から、もう、次のステップ行ったらっていうことで、エアスマートに行ったらってお話を聞いて、飛行時間もそれなりに溜まっていたので、こちらの副操縦士としての飛行時間っていうのが規定があるんですけど、そこに溜まっていたので、じゃあ出してみるかってところで、先ほど変えられたタミー CEO が、インタビューをして採用されたという話でした。So that was how long ago?
That was a year and a month ago.
Oh. 1年1ヶ月前にこちらに来たばっかりだというところですね。だから1年1ヶ月。実は私たちのその FO、ファーストオフィサーの中では一番彼女は古いタイプじゃない。古い、一番長い人です。Yeah, you've been over 1 year.
Yeah.
Your seniority is that high when they're
Yes,
first officer.
for first officers, I am the most senior now.
ファーストオフィサーの中で一番セニョリティが高いというところです。Yeah, it's been over 1 year.
Yep, the schedule goes my way now.
Yes, that's right. なので、今、ファーストオフィサーがね、How many officers? First officer we have now? 10? Not even 10.
I don't know. I
Eight.
stopped counting. It keeps on going up and
Yeah.
down.
今こちらにはですね、だいたい10名いるかなの、副操縦士がいるんですけども、アメリカにはそのセニョリティっていうのがあってですね、その一番セニョリティが一番高い、ランクの方でございます。私は低い、まだ入って、I've been here, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, so I'm low.
Yeah, medium.
私はミディアムそうです。というところで、ここに働きました。じゃあ、後半はですね、じゃあ、そのエアスマートに入ってからの、お話をお聞きしたいと思うんですけども。So, you got hired year and a month ago. The first officer.
Yes.
And I've been experiencing the same thing. It's totally different. Like small plane, and then turboprop.
Yes.
How was your first experience in the training? Can you share that story?
Well, first off, it was magical. But I think, especially from a Cessna 172, which I did all my training and transitioning to the PC-12, it wasn't too much of a difficult transition because they kind of fly the same way. But I think the biggest leap was definitely avionics because I was flying six packs all the way up until here. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, touch screens. Yeah, so that was the biggest leap.
彼女自身が今までここに来るまでは、シックスパックっていうのは、いわゆる丸いケーキがいっぱいついてる飛行機ですね。そういった基本的な飛行機にずっと乗っていたので、PC-12 というピラタスのターボプロップに来た時には、フライト自体はそこまで問題ないんだけども、目の前にあるケーキ類、エビオニクスっていうんですけども、それが全くレベルが違うもので、そこが大変だと。Yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah. Still learning it.
That's right. That's right. So I think they put you the what you call the SIC training and SIC checkout and all that stuff. You completed?
Yes, now I did. It took a few months to get the SIC training done, just because stuff gets in the way, people get busy and all that stuff. But everything's done.
Nice.
All checked out. Yes, and I even got a chance to fly the PC-24 a few times as well. So got some multi-engine under my belt. And
Nice.
Yeah, that's where I want to go. It's fast.
Yes, it's very fast. Yes. 今、彼女は、ここに来て PC-12 という、ターボプロップの副操縦士のチェックがあって、もう SIC チェックっていうんですけど、副操縦士、セカンドインコマンドのチェックっていうのを終えて、正式に副操縦士としての任務をやってます。任務をこなしてます。一方で、エアスマートっていうのは PC-24 って言って、ジェット機もあるんですね。そこの、副操縦士も今乗っていて、どちらもエアスマートの副操縦士の場合は両方やるんですよ。PC-12、PC-24、両方経験するんです。その2つを経験して今飛んでると。So, you've been flying here as the pilots locally, and then you jump into the PC-12, PC-24, or different places, long distance, far away, high speed, everywhere. So, can you share the story that you got charter pilot experiences, fun experiences?
Fun experience? Well, my first fun experience was with another female captain, Sherry, and we went to Bozeman, Montana, which is right up next to Yellowstone, and I've always wanted to go to Yellowstone. It's been on bucket list forever. It was dead of winter, though, but we had a 2-night stay there, so we had a long time to explore. And so we went to like little restaurants, speakeasies. We went to bakeries and chocolate shops and tea shops and antique shops, like everywhere. And that was like my ultimate vacation is doing those things. It sounds weird, but it was wonderful. So that's like one of my first favorite memories of going abroad. And then I think the other one was Mexico. That's interesting. Go to Mexico, but yeah, everywhere is awesome. Everywhere, almost everywhere.
副操縦士としてこの、PC12、24っていうのはもう本当に遠いところに行って新しいところに行くっていうのはもう過去の放送でも伝えたんですけども、彼女に聞いたんですね。何かそういう、楽しかったっていう経験ないって言ったら、モンタナにあるボーゼっていう空港で、2日間レイオーバーというかステイがあったので、そこで本当に観光したと。で、イエローストーンイエローストーンが近かったので、そこはもう昔から行きたいところだったので、そこに行って楽しむことができたと。それ以外にもメキシコに行って楽しかったし、でも簡単に言うともう行くところも楽しくて、たまんないんだよねっていう話をしてまして、さっきのイエローステーンの近くっても実は仕事で行って、スタンバイ的な形で 2泊3泊とかするんですけども、それがめちゃめちゃいいバケーションだったというお話をしてました。Yeah, we've been talking to the other other pilots also. They're really enjoying to different places. It's challenging, but it's fun.
It's not a regular like here, there, here, and then repeat it. It's random all the time. Like every single month, I go to a new airport, which definitely keeps you on your feet. But I'm realizing now, I think that with all this travel, in my head, it's like you always have these goals of like, oh, where you want to live, or like your fantasies of like this would be the ultimate place to have a home. And mine was very limited. Like I was like, oh, I want to live in Ireland, or I want to live in Australia, or just random places. But now going to all these places that are right next to me on the western side of the US, I see how beautiful they are. I'm like, well, I guess it really doesn't matter where you live. There's so many beautiful places to pick from. Like I don't have to be so limited in my thinking now. My horizons have expanded, if you want to say it that way.
Okay. そのパイロットを仕事するまでは、その世界を見てやろうとかいろんなとこ住んでみたいとかっていう気持ちがあったらしいんだけども、実際この仕事をしてみるといろんなところに仕事で行ける。決まったところを行って帰ってくる。行ってどっかに行って帰ってくる。そういうルートじゃなくて、もう毎回チャレンジする空港。いろんな空港に行けるっていう意味では、自分の住む場所って別に決める必要ないじゃん。今いる場所で、十分楽しめるよねっていう話をしてました。expand the horizon っていうのは、要は自分の、住んでる、見える地平線がどんどん広がってきた。そんな印象を持っているお仕事だということです。Wow, it's almost like 5 minutes, 6 minutes ago. 最初にお話した通り、アバロンはパイロットとの仕事もしています。その前メカニックだとか、スクールのマネージャーとか、様々な仕事をしてるんですけども、実はもう、インスタのフォロワーがすごいんですよ。How many followers do you have? Instagram?
115,000.
11万5千人のフォロワーがいるらしいんです、皆さん。これ、どのぐらいでその人数だったかちょっと聞いてみたいと思うんですけども、So you have 115,000 followers in how many years?
1 year.
Excuse me?
In 1 year.
1 year?
1 year, 1,115,000.
1年で11万5千人。I've been doing 3 years and I got just over 200.
I'll teach you the tricks later.
自分が1年で200人ちょっとってかやり方教えてあげるよって言われたんですけど、そのぐらい彼女の、インスタがフォロワーがいるぐらい彼女の今やってることってのはすごく、告知をしています。で、さっき番組始まりにちょこっと話をしたんですけど、たくさん趣味があるんですよ。You got lots of hobbies.
Lots of hobbies. Yes, not just aviation. I mean, I'm an aviation nerd, but I'm not only an aviation nerd.
彼女はもちろんパイロットとして働いてるんだけども、パイロットだけが人生じゃない。いろんな趣味を持ってるんだ。So I think it's important to have that lots of hobbies.
Yeah, because I mean, what if for whatever reason aviation for you stops? What if you can't fly anymore? What else are you going to do? You're going to be very lonely. But I think my ultimate hobby is definitely crocheting and knitting, anything with yarn. So yeah, it's a meditation. Like I'm zoning out, and people are like, "How are you sitting there for hours just playing with yarn?" I'm like, "This is my my Zen zone.
禅とかヨガとか編み物とかもう様々な趣味を持ってるので、もう飛行機だけじゃないんですね。この飛行機だけですと飛行機飛べなくなったらどうするのみたいな考え方を言ってました。最後2分のIt's only 2 minutes. Any advice the audience if they're looking for become a pilot?
Advice
to them to become pilot.
Advice to become a pilot: do your research. I did not do any research, and I got screwed over.
But you got this job here.
But I got, I mean, what, 10 years later?
Yeah. はい、今、アドバイス何かありませんかって聞いたら、リサーチをとにかくやってくださいと。で、私が今もこっちにいるじゃないと、私は10年かかったんだよっていう話をしてたので、しっかりリサーチをして進めてくださいというお話がありました。Okay, it's almost a minute to end this show, but thank you very much.
Of course.
Yes.
No, I was going to give you other advices aside from enjoy the process, do your research. You can always change your flight instructor. If you don't like your flight instructor, you can change your flight instructor. It's an option. And just have fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Become a pilot.
パイロットになるためにはリサーチを怠らないこと、そして楽しむことで、自分のインストラクター気に入らなければどんどん変えていいんだからって、そういうもうね、今日はぶっちゃけの話いっぱい出ましたよね。そういうアメリカの社会で、彼女は一生懸命頑張っております。この番組、パイロット、女性のパイロットの方々を今までたくさんお呼びいたしました。ぜひともこの、ラスベガスエアスマートに来て、実際にアバロンにおって、他の方々に会って環境を見ていただければいかがでしょうか。ありがとうございました。Everyone, thank you for coming to my show.
Thank you for
having
me.
Great story.
Thanks.
You can have a lot of audience from Japanese now.
Yay. I welcome you all.
はい。じゃあ皆さんありがとうございました。また来週です。さよなら。It's radio every time. Just a minute.